Hello, I'm Sam from Sound on Sound magazine. I'm here at the Superbooth show in Berlin, and I'm very pleased to be joined by Pitt from Silhouette. Welcome, Pitt.
Hello.
Now, this is a new one on me. Silhouette is the name of your company. Silhouette Eins is the name of your instrument, and this looks like a very unusual instrument.
Yes, it is. And Silhouette, the name Silhouette is the name also for the concept, because the main idea of it was that since the early 90s I had the idea that I wanted to act with a hand in front of the camera and the light table, and to use these structures, these silhouettes, directly in the audio waveform, because if you know the old technique how sound was recorded on the 35mm and 60mm films, on the optical soundtracks, these were these waves, and this like a ladder, this system. And I always thought, that's a great synthesizer, because it can make any sound you want, but not in real time. That was a problem. So I was really long years thinking about how it could be done, how it could be transferred into real time. And then the computers got faster, and now is the point that I can build this instrument which can act with the visual data inside the audio waveform. Can you see this here on the camera, or maybe you take an extra picture afterwards? So it's really then the thing, then it's real physics only, because if you put in something like this, you have a dumb sound, like quite like a sine wave, of course. And if you put something in with more structure, you open here the overtone switch open. And the nice thing is that you, of course, hear every single tiny movement of your finger. It can be heard in the sound. And you have control over the sound, over the timbre, and the volume at one point. Of course, if you are just on the bottom, there's a very low volume, and if you increase the amplitude, it gets louder. Okay, and on the way to this, I found some functions that are also nice to use for sound synthesis. For example, the blue rectangle is the area where the visuals are selected, but you can change the size of the window so that it's only small height of pixel rows taken. And if I now take some templates like this and this, and put them on the light table, and I move the rectangle, the selection rectangle, I immediately get animated sounds, sound loops, and I can animate this movement. Okay, and I can also use JPEGs, movie pictures. Or movie files. With the movie files I can change the amount of frames that I used and the start frame. Okay, and these are the three elements, the light table, the movie thing, and the JPEGs.
So tell us a little about some of the rotary controls that you've got there. What aspects of the synthesis are they controlling?
The controller. The prototype which I had before this was much bigger, and it had on every parameter inside the machine own knob. And then there was a friend of mine who said to me, "Hey, couldn't you reduce the number of knobs and maybe you make assignable controllers?" But I don't like assignable controllers because I have then always to look it up where my controller is addressed. I don't like it. And then I had this idea a few years ago, and I just tried it out. Would it work to put the presentation of the value in the back of the controller on the monitor, because the whole thing is the computer monitor, and then use maybe this value display for multiple amounts, like here for the X position of the selection window and its modulation amount, which is the orange thing, and you can see them both at a time and just switch them by the page changement here. Yeah, and then now I have a controller which is about 1 centimeter deep, and of course you have some angles. If you look very much from here, you cannot see maybe what's connected, which value cycle and which poti. But in the practice, when I'm playing the synth, and it works very fine, and you get used to it. And you just half an hour ago, zeigt irgendwas mit der Hand? Do you show a gesture with the hand?
Oh, no, sorry, I was just ready to focus.
So, okay. Just a half an hour ago, there was a visitor here, and he really got into the instrument. He played for 15 minutes, and he said, "Hey, after a while, you get really used to this changing of the pages and using the knobs, and you start to stop thinking." So it works quite intuitive.
Wow. Well, this is certainly the most original synthesizer I've seen at this show so far.
Thank you very much.
So I gather it is technically a commercial product, and you have actually sold at least one example. Is it going to be a mass-produced synthesizer, or will it always be something that's a bit sort of niche?
You mean the new DX7? Maybe. I really believe in this sound synthesis system. I can imagine that it at some time may be used in other synthesizers which are really for the broad market. But this machine is also from the price. It's 3,800 euros at the moment. It's not for many customers. It's for people who really are looking for something special and who have enough room in their studio for such a big machine. Most of the people who come here look for tiny little instruments. But those who realize the speciality of the sound synthesis and the interface, and maybe even the possibility to use the film in multimedia projects, they realize that it's not expensive. But these are, of course, not millions.
Yeah, well, there's a million ways you can spend 3,800 euros on a synthesizer, but there's only one way that will get you this synthesizer.
Yeah,
so
of course.
I think that's not expensive at all for what you're offering.
Yeah, thank you. I don't think so either.
Well,
because I've
thank you
worked
very
for
much.
years on it, and you see it, and all the love which is in there, and all this love for sound and for art.
Well, thank you very much for showing us. It was great to meet you, Peter.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good show.
Thank you.